He found work at a sweet shop. His duties included cleaning tables, peeling boiled potatoes, and filling samosas. The pay was decent, and most importantly, he received breakfast and lunch at the shop. Sujan decided that now he would work with full dedication. Every morning, he reached the shop on time and worked honestly and sincerely. Slowly, the halwai also began trusting him. One day, while both of them were peeling potatoes together, Sujan hesitantly asked, "Brother, you are such a skilled cook. Why don't you open your own shop?" The halwai smiled sadly and replied, "Son, I have my own helplessness. My family lives in the village. I do not have enough money to open my own shop in this city." Then he looked at Sujan and asked, "And how long will you continue cleaning tables? Life cannot move forward like this." Sujan said seriously, "You are right." The halwai then said, "Why don't you learn how to make samosas from me? If you learn properly, you can become a skilled cook. You will earn well and live a better life." Sujan immediately agreed. "There is nothing wrong in learning," he said. "I will learn everything from you." Now Sujan became even more interested in the shop work. As soon as the shop opened every morning, he threw himself into work with energy and excitement. But in his mind, only one thought remained. I must learn something. I must become something bigger. One day, the halwai called him. "Sujan, come here. Today you will also learn how to fill samosas." Sujan quickly came forward. The halwai showed him the potato filling and explained, "Look, son, the filling must be perfect. Neither too spicy nor too bland. Otherwise, customers will complain. First, learn how to recognize the taste properly." Sujan listened carefully. The halwai added some spices and gave him the filling to taste. "Tell me, how does it taste?" After tasting it, Sujan said, "It needs a little more salt." The halwai smiled. "Correct, let's add it." Then he rolled a dough sheet and handed it to Sujan. "Now fold it and fill it properly. Seal the edges tightly so that it doesn't burst while frying." In the beginning, Sujan's hands trembled. Sometimes the tip opened, sometimes the dough tore apart. But he did not give up. Again and again, the halwai guided him. "Be patient, son. Never hurry while learning a skill. The more your hands practice, the more perfect they will become." Within a few days, Sujan improved greatly. Now he could fill perfectly shaped samosas without mistakes. The halwai praised him. "Now you are making better samosas than me. If you keep this dedication, you will go very far in life." One evening, after the shop had closed, both of them sat talking. The halwai said, "Sujan, I can see that. Are learning sincerely. But surviving your whole life by working for others will be difficult. One day you must start your own work. The skill you have learned should become your strength." Sujan asked seriously, "But what can I do? I don't have money." The halwai replied, "Money is not everything. If your thinking is right and you are hard-working, work itself grows. I am trapped in my circumstances, but you are free. Preserve this skill carefully. One day, it will make you successful." At that moment, Sujan made a promise to himself. "Now I will start my own work, no matter how small it is." For the next 2 months, Sujan worked continuously at the shop. Every day, he not only worked hard, but also learned every small detail from the halwai. How to recognize the right oil temperature, how to balance the flavor of the filling, how to serve customers with a smile, and most importantly, how to save money. Why? From earnings. He gave most of his salary to his family, but secretly saved a small portion. His dream was to start his own business. When his mother learned that Sujin was saving money, she lovingly placed her hand on his head and said, "Son, this is a very good habit. Savings help us survive difficult times. I am proud of you." His father, too, had started feeling proud of his son's hard work. Every evening he asked, "Son, how was your day?" Sujan smiled and replied, "It was good, father. I am working hard. Everything will become all right." Once something is learned properly and stored deeply in the mind, it stays there in a way that feels almost impossible to forget. And even if you are someone who naturally forgets many things, this discussion can still help improve your memory power. Many people, including Sujan, Fatima, Arshi, Chayan Channel, Sarajoti Mahato, and many others asked how to increase memory power, how to remember studies for a long time, how to improve observation power, and what should be done to develop the brain. And today, this entire discussion is prepared because of those requests. The human brain is believed to hold nearly 2.5 million gigabytes of storage. Yet people still forget so much because the future depends on the present, and the present depends on what a person remembers. And if increasing memory were easy, then everyone would become an IAS officer or a doctor. But those successful people were not born with extraordinary memory. They learned memory techniques later in life, and those techniques can also be learned by anyone, regardless of age. Memory is not only important for studies, but also for daily conversations, business work, shopping, responsibilities, and life decisions, because forgetting important tasks often leads to embarrassment or loss. From childhood to graduation, people spend nearly 20 years learning countless things, yet they fail to retain even 5% of what they studied because attention and concentration were not strong enough. Before understanding memory techniques, concentration must be tested, just like in the famous basketball attention experiment where viewers were asked to count passes between players in white shirts while ignoring players in black shirts. And because of their intense focus on counting passes, many completely failed to notice the person in a gorilla suit walking across the screen, proving that deep focus can blind the mind to everything else, a concept famously discussed by Christopher Chabris and Daniel Simons in The Invisible Gorilla. This demonstrates that memory begins with attention, because anything learned without proper focus never truly enters long-term memory. Successful people such as Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Barack Obama are known for reading extensively, but their true advantage is not simply reading books, it is remembering and applying the information at the right moment. Memory itself can be strengthened because remembering has two stages, input and output. Input means storing information properly, and output means recalling it when necessary. Therefore, the quality of input must improve first. Short-term memory works like remembering a 6-digit OTP for a few seconds before immediately forgetting it after use. And studies often fail in the same way because information never becomes important enough to move into long-term memory. The brain only stores deeply what it considers meaningful and necessary, just like instructions about opening a parachute may be ignored until a person is told they must skydive within an hour, because urgency suddenly creates intense focus and importance. To make information important, broad meaning must be understood first, similar to viewing an entire painting from a distance before zooming into details. Because when the bigger picture becomes clear, interest develops naturally, and interesting things are remembered more easily. Usually happens not because a topic lacks importance, but because distraction weakens the quality of attention during learning. People remember movies, stories, and emotional events for years because their focus during those moments was complete. Concentration can also be trained through mental exercises such as searching numbers from 1 to 25 in order inside a randomized grid within 30 seconds. an activity that strengthens cognitive speed and peripheral awareness. Another important factor behind attention is the calm state of the hippocampus, because when the mind becomes quiet and undistracted, learning becomes much stronger. One highly effective technique is intense cardio exercise before studying, because during extremely heavy physical effort, the brain temporarily stops unnecessary thinking and enters a state of powerful focus. And after a few minutes of exhaustion and brief rest, concentration becomes extremely sharp, almost like a completely cleaned blackboard, ready for new information. This state is often described as forced meditation, where the brain becomes highly prepared to absorb and store information. Memory is also connected deeply with physical movement, because the human brain remembers actions more effectively than passive reading, which is why sports, dance, exercise, and active experiences remain memorable for years. Visual information is remembered even more strongly than sound, while plain reading without engagement is remembered the least. Therefore, studying should not remain passive, posture should stay active, and learning should involve movement, gestures, explanation, and action, because action mode activates recall power. Many people notice that while walking quickly or rushing somewhere, forgotten memories suddenly return because the body enters a heightened state of activity that stimulates the brain. This is also why travel often triggers old memories and why many writers travel to unlock creativity and ideas. Variation during study improves retention, including standing while reading, walking during memorization, using hand gestures, or explaining concepts aloud as if teaching another person. Memory also behaves like a device entering sleep mode when unused, meaning the brain becomes dull when the body remains inactive for too long. Visuals are among the most powerful tools for memory, because the brain processes visual imagery tens of thousands of times more strongly than plain text. So creating mental images while learning can dramatically improve recall. One powerful exercise is imagining a completely blank white canvas and mentally painting vivid scenes in high definition, including mountains, houses, roads, skies, and details, because repeated visualization strengthens photographic memory and visual imagination. Fictional stories can also improve this ability, because descriptive writing forces the mind to generate detailed mental images. When information is understood visually as well as logically, it becomes stored across multiple regions of the brain, greatly increasing the chance of recall later. Several exercises can strengthen concentration and memory further, including the multicolored text exercise, where the task is to say the color of a word instead of reading the written text itself, which improves focus, multitasking, and attention control. Another exercise involves coordination between both hands, such as creating different hand signs simultaneously and switching them rapidly, strengthening communication between brain and body. Another exercise is performing small activities with eyes closed, such as writing a name, drawing shapes, or typing on a phone, which sharpens spatial memory and recall. Brain games such as Sudoku, chess, puzzles, and word games improve decision-making and cognitive flexibility far more effectively than repetitive tap-based games, because they force the brain to think actively. Another useful exercise is using the non-dominant hand for daily tasks like brushing teeth, writing, or eating, which creates new neural connections and strengthens coordination between mind and body. Reducing dependence on technology is also important, because excessive reliance on calculators, phones, and reminders weakens natural memory. While mentally calculating numbers, memorizing phone numbers, remembering tasks without constant lists train the brain to stay active. Lists should remain backups rather than the primary memory system, because the strongest tool should always be the mind itself. Ultimately, memory improves through focus, action, visualization, movement, repetition, and meaningful engagement, and anyone who consistently practices these techniques can gradually develop stronger concentration, sharper recall, better observation power, and a far more powerful mind over time. Hello guys, if you enjoyed this history story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing history stories like this. Also, let me know in the comments what kind of stories you want to hear next. Your support motivates me to bring you more interesting and emotional stories every time. Hello guys, first listen to the story carefully. I hope you will like it. If you enjoy the story, then Zarur comment and let me know. Friends, a little away from the crowded city, there was a slum settlement. Small houses with tin roofs stood all around. During the rainy season, those roofs leaked, as if the sky had decided to pour all its tears only on those huts. There lived Sujin, a thin and weak boy of about 17 years old. Sadness always appeared on his face, as if life had locked away all his dreams. Sujin's father was a daily wage laborer. Some days he found work and somehow managed to provide 2 meals for the family. But if he did not get work, silence spread through the house. His mother worked in other people's homes, sweeping and mopping floors. She woke up every morning at 4 o'clock and returned home exhausted in the evening. But more than tiredness, worry was visible on her face. In that expensive city, it was very difficult for them to survive. During the rainy season, the situation became even worse. Water kept dripping from the tin roof, and utensils were placed everywhere on the floor to collect the leaking water. In such conditions, any child's heart would become dull and hopeless, and Sujan was no exception. One evening, when Sujan returned home, he saw his mother sitting tired beside the stove. His father was lying on the cot, and emptiness could be seen in his eyes. Once again, he had not found any work that day. Sujan asked his mother, "Mother, what is there to eat today?" In a tired voice, she replied, "Son, there is only potato curry and dry rotis. I could make only this much from the little flour left in the house." Sujan ate the food, but his heart was heavy. Every day was the same. Sometimes they ate properly, and sometimes they slept hungry. Whenever he saw children of his age roaming around the city in good clothes, with money in their pockets and smiles on their faces, his heart ached. He often thought to himself, "I wish I had been born into a rich family. Then I would not have to suffer all this poverty and helplessness." That day, too, his heart was very heavy. He saw his father worried because he had not found work. He saw his mother breaking down from exhaustion. He felt both anger and helplessness. Late at night, after everyone had fallen asleep, Sujan quietly left the house. His feet wandered aimlessly through the city streets. The night had become deep and dark. Poor people were sleeping wrapped in sheets on the roadside footpaths. Sujan also sat quietly on the edge of the footpath. He looked toward the sky. The clouds covering the sky made him even sadder. Why did God do this to me? Why was I born into such a poor family? No good clothes, no good food, no chance to study. Will I live like this forever? He kept thinking silently. Then an old Baba, who was sleeping beside him, sat up. There was depth in the old man's eyes, as if he had seen many ups and downs in life. The Baba looked at Sujan and asked softly, "Son, why are you sitting here alone so late at night? Is everything all right?" The Baba again said, "Look, son, I am not stopping you from sitting here. Sit as long as you want, but at least tell me what is troubling you. Why are you so sad?" Tears filled Sujan's eyes. Slowly he said, "Trouble? Baba, God has been very unfair to me." The Baba asked in surprise, "What has God done?" Sujan said angrily, "He made me born in a poor family. I do not get proper food, proper clothes, or any chance to study. Whenever I see other children, they have everything. Why was I not born in a rich family? The Baba listened carefully. After remaining silent for a few moments, he said, "Son, let me tell you something. Don't mind it. God sends us where we are needed the most. If you were born in a poor family, it means you have the chance to change your own destiny and your parents' destiny. Poor parents place all their hopes on their children. They believe their child will one day bring them from darkness into light. Rich children often do not understand the value of money or struggle. They never learn how much can be achieved through hard work. But you have received this opportunity. You are very fortunate." Sujan became silent. The Baba's words touched his heart, though he still could not fully understand them. He asked, "All right, Baba, suppose I accept that God sent me here to escape poverty. But what should I do? I do not understand anything." The Baba smiled and said, "First of all, learn to calm your mind. Stop asking useless questions that have no answers. Then, whatever work you do, whether small or big, do it with honesty and hard work, and learn to save money. Always remember one thing, son. You alone must write your destiny. Nobody in this world will come to help you. God will not come down to earth to make your path easier. You yourself must light up your dark life. There is no path other than hard work." The Baba's words entered deeply into Sujan's heart. The face that had been full of sadness a few moments earlier now began to shine with hope. He stood up and said, "Baba, you have opened my eyes. Now I understand that I myself must change my destiny. I promise you, I will never give up." Smiled and said, "That is the spirit, son. Go, work hard and change your life. Your hard work itself is your God." Sujan touched the Baba's feet and started walking toward home. Now his steps no longer felt heavy. The next morning, Sujan went out searching for work. He wandered all over the city. He visited hotels and warehouses, but that day he found no work. Still, he did not lose hope. By afternoon, the sun was burning overhead and his stomach growled with hunger. Tired and exhausted, he sat under a large tree. Under the same tree stood a Golgappa seller with his cart. A crowd had gathered around him. People were happily eating Golgappas. Sujan also wished to eat one plate, but he did not have a single rupee in his pocket. So he silently controlled his desire and kept watching. After some time, he asked the Golgappa seller, "Brother, how long have you been doing this work?" The seller smiled and replied, "It has been about 1 year." "Where do you live?" Sujan asked. "In a rented room nearby." "Why are you asking?" The seller replied. Sujan said, "Your work seems to be going very well. People keep coming continuously." The Golgappa seller laughed and said, "Brother, if you learn patience and hard work, every work goes well." Sujan became surprised. A boy almost his own age was speaking with such wisdom. The Golgappa seller asked, "What do you do?" Embarrassed, Sujan replied, "I do nothing specific. I work wherever I can find labor work. Today I found nothing, so I just sat here." The seller smiled. "Don't lose hope, brother. If not today, then tomorrow you will surely find work. And if you truly want to do something, start a small business of your own. You could sell Golgappas like me, or do something else." Sujan fell into deep thought. "But I don't know how to do any of this," he said. "I have only done labor work." The seller replied, "Did I know all this from the beginning? When you start doing things yourself, you learn everything. You just need dedication." Hearing this, Sujan remembered the Baba's words again. You alone must write your destiny. He thanked the Golgappa seller and returned home. That night, he kept thinking for a long time. Can I also start something of my own? Tired of labor work. Going everywhere asking for work does not feel good anymore. Finally, he made a decision. I will work hard for 2 months, save money, and then start my own small business. The next day, Sujin again went searching for work. This time, luck supported him.